Ready for a trip back to the future? Today, we're diving into cloud computing.
Oh, that should be interesting.
It is. You might be surprised to learn that the concept, the concept goes all the way back to the 1960s.
Oh, wow. Really? That's before.
Way before
Yeah.
the internet.
Wow. So are we talking like really early mainframes and stuff?
Well, actually, yeah. But even before that, a computer scientist considered one of the pioneers of artificial intelligence, John McCarthy,
Oh, yeah,
predicted that computing power
This is in the 60s, right?
in the 60s, that computing power could be delivered as a public utility, just like
Like a public utility?
electricity
Yeah,
or
interesting.
the telephone system.
Wow, that's pretty forward thinking for
Wow.
back then.
Yeah, it's wild. So how did we go from this early vision
From way back then
yeah,
in the 60s.
to the cloud services that we use every day?
That's a long journey.
Yeah, it is.
So like what were the major
What were some of the milestones?
milestones along the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there were some key milestones along the way.
Hmm.
In the late 1990s,
Oh, okay. So this is
companies like Salesforce
Oh, yeah, okay.
started offering business applications over the internet.
So that's like the early
That's SaaS.
Yeah.
Software as a service.
Like the dot-com boom, all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then in 2006, Amazon launched
Oh, this is a big one.
AWS,
Yeah.
Amazon Web Services.
Yeah. Which was a major turning point.
Absolutely.
They basically rented out
Rented out
their massive computing infrastructures.
instead of having to own
Yeah.
and maintain all the physical hardware,
Expensive.
businesses could
Just rent it.
rent what they needed on demand.
Wow. That's a game changer.
It is a game changer. So what exactly does this cloud landscape look like today? What kind of services?
Like, what are we actually talking
about?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are three main categories.
Three main categories, yeah. SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS.
Okay, break those down for us.
SaaS, like you mentioned, that's when you use software over the internet. Think Gmail, Spotify.
Okay.
You don't install them, you just access them online. Then there's PaaS, or platform as a service, where you get...
So PaaS is more like...
It's like a step up, yeah.
Okay.
You get the underlying operating system, the hardware, the network. You can build...
Okay, so SaaS is like renting an apartment. You get the space.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
You get the basic utilities.
Hey.
PaaS is like buying a plot of land.
Yeah.
You have more freedom to build what you want, but you're also
more responsibility.
responsible for more of the setup.
Right.
What about IaaS?
IaaS. Infrastructure as a service.
That's the most control.
That's the raw materials. You're building everything from scratch. You've got complete control over the hardware.
Or everything.
Network, operating system, everything.
So you're basically choosing
Yeah.
your level of control.
Exactly.
Based on your needs. Yeah, and your expertise.
And your expertise, yeah. That's really cool.
It is pretty cool.
But how does all this get delivered?
Yeah, how does it actually...
Are there different ways to access these cloud services?
Okay, so you've got different cloud deployment models.
Okay.
Public clouds, like AWS or Google Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
accessible to anyone over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got private clouds,
Which are more secure.
which are operated within an organization's own data center. So
More control.
you've got that security and control, but requires more management.
Okay.
And of course, you can blend the two with hybrid clouds, kind of get
Best of both worlds.
the best of both worlds, yeah.
So many options.
There are a lot of choices out there.
It's amazing how cloud computing has become
The whole ecosystem.
such a diverse ecosystem. But I imagine with all this data floating around,
Uh-oh.
security must be a major concern.
Security
They're
is
seen done to address that.
huge.
Yeah.
Paramount.
Yeah.
Cloud providers, they invest heavily in protecting their infrastructure.
Their infrastructure and customer data. We're talking multiple layers of security. Encryption, firewalls, intrusion detection systems.
So it's like a high-tech fortress.
Hmm.
But instead of guards and moats,
Instead of moats, yeah.
it's encryption and firewalls. Does that mean
Good analogy.
that users don't have to worry about anything?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's what we call a shared responsibility model. Cloud providers, they secure the foundation, but users, they also need to play their part,
So just like you lock your doors.
even if you live in a safe neighborhood.
Right. But enough about security for now. I'm really curious about what people are actually doing with all this cloud power.
Yeah, what are they using it for?
What are some real-world applications?
So many applications.
Yeah, where do we even begin?
Oh, where to even begin? It's transforming almost every industry you can imagine.
Wow. Okay, give us some examples.
In software development, it gives you on-demand access to powerful tools, testing environments.
Okay.
Need to store massive amounts of data.
Oh,
Cloud storage services like Dropbox, Google Drive, they've got you covered.
yeah.
And when it comes to, crunching numbers, extracting insights from
This is what they call big data.
big data analytics.
Yeah, big data analytics. Now, that's something I've heard a lot about,
It's a hot topic.
but never fully understood. Can you explain what that is and why it's so important?
Think of it this way. You've got mountains of data,
Okay.
and you're trying to find this one tiny but crucial piece of information buried inside.
hmm
Big data analytics is all about using these sophisticated tools and techniques to sift through all of that data, uncover those hidden patterns, and extract those valuable insights.
So that's being used everywhere
Everywhere. From predicting customer behavior, identifying market trends.
to developing new drugs.
Yeah, new drugs, optimizing traffic flow in cities.
Cloud computing is essential for that.
It's the engine that makes it possible.
Wow. And that's just, you said, scratching the surface.
Just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Cloud computing is also revolutionizing gaming.
Oh, yeah. With the,
Cloud gaming platforms, you
Yeah.
can stream high-end games. You don't need that fancy gaming PC.
it's like Netflix, but for gaming.
Exactly. And then, of course, we can't forget about the Internet of Things.
IoT.
Countless devices are connected to the Internet, generating massive amounts of data.
Okay, before we go any further,
Yeah.
let's break down IoT a bit. What are some examples of these devices?
Of the IoT devices.
Yeah, and how does cloud computing
Where does the cloud come in?
play a role?
Yeah. Think of all the smart devices in your life. Your smartphone, your smartwatch, maybe even your refrigerator,
Oh,
your
yeah.
thermostat. These are all IoT devices
They're collecting data.
collecting and transmitting data.
Yeah.
Cloud computing provides that platform for all these devices to communicate, to store data, to receive instructions.
So cloud computing is essentially the backbone
The backbone, yeah.
of the IoT revolution.
It really is.
This is all so fascinating.
It is fascinating.
But I'm wondering, how is cloud computing different from other distributed computing models,
Like, what do you have in mind?
like grid computing
Okay.
or time sharing?
Right.
Don't those kind of achieve
Achieve a similar goal.
similar goals?
So there are some similarities, but
Key distinctions.
yeah, there are some key distinctions.
Yeah.
Grid computing, that focuses on connecting geographically distributed computers
So they're all over the place.
to solve these complex problems,
Mhm.
like simulating climate change
Oh, yeah.
or searching for new galaxies, harnessing that collective computing power for a specific research or scientific purpose.
So it's a team of specialists working together
Oh, I like that.
on a complex project.
That's a good analogy.
Time sharing
Yeah.
allowed multiple users to access a single computer simultaneously. So that was more about
More about sharing those expensive computing resources.
limited
Limited in its flexibility.
and scalability.
Yeah.
So it's like a public library where
Correct.
everyone shares the same limited resources.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah. So cloud computing, by contrast, it's about providing on-demand computing services over a vast network of servers.
So it's much more flexible,
It's more accessible than
Yeah.
either grid computing
way more scalable.
or time sharing.
Yeah.
It's like having access to
It's like a massive,
a massive interconnected
yeah,
network of computing power that you can tap into whenever
whenever you need it.
you need it.
Yep.
Wow. We've covered so much ground already.
We have
It's amazing how far cloud computing has come from those early visionary ideas.
a long way.
But I'm sure there are challenges
There are always challenges
and limitations
to this technology.
to this technology as well. What are some of the biggest hurdles facing cloud computing today?
That's a big question.
It is a big question. And where do you see this technology heading in the future?
Well, that's a question that deserves
Deserves a deep dive.
a deep dive all its own. Maybe we'll explore those challenges and future trends next.
Sounds good. So you were saying that there are some hurdles facing cloud computing?
Yeah, there are a few.
What are some of the biggest challenges?
Well, one of the biggest, as we touched on earlier, is security.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's like a cat and mouse game between the cloud providers, implementing stronger security measures, and the people who are trying to exploit vulnerabilities.
Right.
So data breaches are a major concern.
Yeah.
While cloud providers are investing a lot in security,
Mm-hmm.
users also need to be vigilant about their own practices.
Okay, so it's a shared responsibility
It is.
to keep data safe in the cloud.
Exactly.
Are there any other limitations or challenges that we should be aware of?
Yeah, definitely. Another issue is what we call vendor lock-in.
Vendor lock-in.
Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it, but I don't
Uh-huh.
really know what it means.
Okay, so this is when a customer becomes dependent on a particular cloud provider, and it becomes really difficult or expensive to switch to a different one.
So they're stuck.
They're kind of stuck. Yeah.
How does that happen?
It can happen for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're using proprietary technologies from that provider.
Okay.
Maybe their data is stored in a format that's hard to migrate.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just tied into long-term contracts.
So it's like you're in a contract you can't get out of,
Exactly.
even if you find a better deal somewhere else.
That's a good way to put it.
How can businesses avoid getting into that situation?
That's a good question. So one way is to choose cloud providers that offer open standards
Okay.
and prioritize what we call interoperability.
Interoperability meaning?
It means that it's easy to move data and applications between different providers.
Okay.
So you're not locked into one specific system.
So you have the flexibility to move around if you need to.
Exactly.
Another approach is to use a multi-cloud strategy
Multi-cloud meaning.
where you're distributing your workloads across multiple cloud providers.
Oh, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
That's a great analogy.
Smart move. Yeah. Spread the risk.
Are there any other challenges that we should discuss?
Well, performance variability can also be an issue.
Okay.
Since cloud services are typically shared resources,
Mm-hmm.
your performance can be affected by other users on the same infrastructure.
So it's like sharing an internet connection with your family.
Exactly.
If everyone's trying to stream movies at the same time,
Things slow down.
things can slow down for everybody.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure consistent performance in the cloud?
Well, most cloud providers offer what we call service level agreements, or SLAs,
Okay.
that guarantee a certain level of performance.
Mm-hmm.
But fluctuations can still happen, so it's really important to choose a provider with a proven track record
Uh-huh.
of reliability,
Yeah.
and also to design your applications to be resilient to variations in performance.
So you have to build in some flexibility.
Exactly.
Okay, so security vendor, lock-in performance, variability. These are some of the key challenges.
Those are some of the big ones.
But let's shift gears and talk about the future.
All right, the future of the cloud.
What's on the horizon for cloud computing?
Oh, that's a fun one. The future of cloud computing is so exciting.
Okay, what's coming up?
Well, we're already seeing the rise of what we call serverless computing.
Serverless computing.
Yeah.
But doesn't cloud computing already handle the servers?
It does, but serverless computing takes it a step further.
Okay.
It essentially abstracts away the underlying infrastructure completely.
What does that mean?
It means developers can just focus on writing code.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about managing servers or operating systems or scaling.
No more server headaches.
Exactly. It's like having a personal chef who takes care of all the shopping, the prepping, the cooking, so you can just enjoy the meal.
That sounds pretty good to me.
It's a game changer for developers.
What other trends are shaping the future of cloud computing?
Well, edge computing is becoming increasingly important.
Edge computing.
Yeah, especially with the growth of the Internet of Things.
Okay.
By processing data closer to the source,
Uh-huh.
we can reduce latency.
Latency meaning?
Latency, that's the delay in data transmission.
Okay.
So we can reduce that delay, improve efficiency, and enable real-time applications that just weren't possible before.
So instead of sending all that data to a central cloud for processing,
Yeah.
you can handle it right there on the edge.
Right on the edge, like on a smart device or a local server.
So it's like having a mini data center right where you need it.
Exactly, making applications faster, more responsive, and more reliable.
That's pretty cool.
And as 5G and other high-speed networking technologies become more widespread,
Mm-hmm.
edge computing is just going to become even more powerful and pervasive.
This is really mind-blowing.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. What about AI and machine learning?
Oh yeah, AI and machine learning, that's a big one.
How are those technologies influencing the future of cloud computing?
They're transforming almost every aspect of technology, and cloud computing is no exception.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud platforms are becoming increasingly intelligent, using AI to automate tasks, optimize performance, enhance security, and deliver personalized experiences.
So we're talking about cloud platforms that can actually learn and adapt
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
and make decisions on their own.
That's right.
That's both fascinating and a little bit unsettling.
It is a little bit unsettling, but it's also really exciting.
Yeah. What are the implications of that AI in the cloud?
Well, it's true that AI raises some big questions,
Uh-huh.
but it also has this incredible potential to help us solve some of humanity's most pressing problems.
Okay. Like what?
So, for instance, AI-powered cloud platforms can be used to analyze climate data,
Hmm.
to predict extreme weather events.
Wow.
They can develop new drugs and
All
treatments. They
right.
can even help us create smarter, more sustainable cities.
The possibilities seem endless.
They really do.
So where do you see the greatest opportunities for innovation in cloud computing in the coming years?
I think one of the biggest opportunities lies in developing hybrid and multi-cloud solutions
Okay.
that seamlessly integrate different cloud environments.
Hmm.
So this would allow businesses to kind of pick and choose the best cloud services for their specific needs,
Okay.
optimize their costs, and avoid vendor lock-in.
Yeah.
We'll also see continued growth in edge computing, serverless computing, and the integration of AI and machine learning.
So the future of cloud computing is all about flexibility, intelligence, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly. And it's going to have a profound impact on how we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
It sounds like we're just at the beginning of this journey.
We really are.
We've covered so much from the history and different types of cloud services to the challenges and opportunities and the future potential.
Yeah.
It's clear that cloud computing is a force that is shaping the world as we know it.
That's pretty amazing.
But before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add about this incredible and ever-evolving technology?
Anything we haven't touched on yet?
Yeah, any final thoughts? Yeah, any final thoughts?
Well, there's one more thing I think we should touch on. We haven't talked much about the environmental impact of cloud computing.
That's a good point with all those massive data centers running 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes you wonder about the energy consumption
It's a lot of energy.
and the carbon footprint.
Definitely.
There's been a lot of talk about the sustainability of data centers.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
Are they energy hogs?
It's a complex issue, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, on the one hand, data centers do require a significant amount of energy.
Yeah, to power all those servers and keep them cool.
That's a big carbon footprint.
Right, so is cloud computing bad for the environment?
Not necessarily. It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Cloud computing can actually be more energy efficient than traditional data centers.
Really?
In several ways.
How so?
For one thing, cloud providers are increasingly building their data centers in locations with access to renewable energy sources.
Like solar and wind power.
Exactly. They're literally powering the cloud with the sun and the wind.
Wow, so they're incorporating sustainability right from the start.
Yeah, they're trying to be as green as possible.
What about all those servers running all the time, though?
That's where efficiency comes in. Cloud providers use techniques like virtualization and dynamic scaling.
What does that mean?
It means they can run only the servers that are needed at any given time.
So they're not wasting energy.
Exactly. Minimizing wasted energy. It's like carpooling for servers.
Oh, I like that analogy.
They share resources and only operate when necessary.
So it's more efficient on the provider side. What about the companies using the cloud?
That's another area where we see efficiency gains.
Okay.
When businesses move to the cloud,
Mm-hmm.
they often shut down their own on-premises data centers.
Which are probably not as efficient.
Right, which are typically less efficient. So you have this double benefit.
Okay.
The cloud provider is using energy more responsibly,
Uh-huh.
and the companies using their services are reducing their own energy consumption.
That's a pretty compelling argument for making the switch
It is a strong argument.
to cloud computing.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider.
So it sounds like cloud computing has the potential to be a positive force
It does.
in the fight against climate change.
Yeah, it can be part of the solution.
But there's always room for improvement.
Of course, we can always do better.
Are there any other exciting developments on the horizon?
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of research and development going on.
Focus on making cloud computing even more sustainable.
Yeah, there are some really smart people working on this.
Like what kind of things?
Well, for example, they're optimizing cooling systems,
Makes sense.
using more energy-efficient hardware,
Okay.
and exploring new ways to harness renewable energy sources for data centers.
Really pushing the boundaries there.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Now, shifting gears a bit, we've talked about the present and the future of cloud computing.
Yeah, a lot to cover.
What about the really far future?
The really far future, okay?
Are there any mind-blowing advancements on the horizon that could revolutionize the field?
Well, one area that has immense potential is quantum computing.
Quantum computing.
It's still pretty early days.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
But it holds this incredible promise.
Of what?
It could transform fields like medicine materials, science, artificial intelligence,
Really, anything you can think of.
in ways we can only begin to imagine.
Oh, quantum computing. I have to admit that one sounds a little intimidating.
It is a complex topic.
Can you break it down for us a little bit?
Sure, so imagine a computer that can solve problems exponentially faster than any computer we have today.
That's the power of quantum computing.
That's it.
So instead of taking years or decades,
Maybe even centuries.
it could be done in minutes.
Potentially, yeah.
That's incredible.
It is pretty mind-blowing.
But how does it work?
Well, it harnesses the principles of quantum mechanics, which govern the behavior of matter at the atomic and subatomic levels.
All right.
This allows quantum computers to perform certain types of calculations that are just impossible for traditional computers to handle.
Even supercomputers.
Even the most powerful supercomputers we have today. Yeah.
So we're talking about solving problems that are currently unsolvable.
In a practical time frame.
Yeah.
That's hard to even comprehend.
It is. It's a huge leap forward.
But quantum computers are incredibly complex and expensive to build, right?
They are for now.
So how could this incredible technology become accessible?
That's a great question, and that's where cloud computing comes in.
Okay.
Cloud platforms could provide a way to make quantum computing power available to a much wider audience.
So researchers, businesses,
Even individuals.
just like they did for traditional computing power,
Exactly.
instead of needing to own and maintain a quantum computer.
Which is just not feasible for most organizations right now.
Right.
You could simply access quantum computing resources on demand through the cloud.
So it's like having access to a super-powered brain in the cloud,
It's a good analogy.
capable of tackling problems that were previously impossible to solve.
Yeah, it's really exciting to think about the possibility. From those early visions of computing as a utility to the potential of quantum computing,
Yeah, what a journey.
it's clear that cloud computing has come a long way.
It has.
What's the key takeaway you want to leave our listener with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is that cloud computing is more than just a technology.
It's a fundamental shift.
Yeah, it's a fundamental shift in how we think about and interact with computing power,
It's changing how we develop new technologies,
how we work,
how we access information.
and ultimately how we connect with the world around us.
And this is just the beginning.
We're just getting started.
We've covered so much, from the history and different types of cloud services to the challenges and opportunities
Or the future potential.
and the future potential. It's clear that cloud computing is a force that is shaping the world as we know it.
There's no doubt about that.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
For anyone listening who's intrigued by cloud computing, I would just say stay curious.
Yeah.
The cloud is constantly evolving,
Always something new to learn.
with new innovations emerging all the time. So stay informed, keep exploring, and who knows what incredible discoveries await us just beyond the horizon.
It's an exciting time to be following this technology.
It really is.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and taking us on this amazing journey through the world of cloud computing.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an enlightening experience for me, and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so too.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into cloud computing.
Thanks for tuning in.
We hope you'll learn something new, and we're excited to see what the future holds for this transformative technology. Until next time, keep exploring.